say that if you feel that you've had a really bad, tough childhood and that you fear that you may never be happy again, I want to give you some hope. I truly do believe that it is possible to find happiness. So I'd like to share some of my childhood with you. I have never shared this with anyone before, so I am quite nervous about it. I'll start with my early childhood. I grew up with my grandparents. They raised me practically from when I was 2 or 1 to 5. I lived with them and they were just some of the best people in the world. They are so wonderful. I remember my grandfather taking me to look at the trains when I was a little girl, and I just had the most fun time. And of course picking flowers and just little things like that that just makes you really remember such a bright, happy childhood. And unfortunately after 5 I had to leave them. It was really difficult time. I had to move to a different city and I wasn't able to see them for almost like 6 months, and I remember that being like some of the hardest times in my childhood, and that probably what started me on feeling nauseousness from anxiety, because I do remember just not eating at all or not wanting to eat and feeling sick when I was presented with food. So after that we moved to Australia because my biological father at that time was in Australia. He had offered us to come, me and my mum, and we moved from China to Australia when I was about 8. He was very abusive and my parents decided to separate in Australia. My mum was in a horrible situation at that time. She didn't have any knowledge of English and no job to even look after me. He would scare me into telling him everything that I had done with my mum, and he would force me to say bad things about her, like calling her names, and he would trick me and say that if you didn't tell me, I have a magic machine that can hear everything you do and say, and if I find out that you didn't tell me the truth, I will. So I believed him. As a little kid I believed almost everything, and that was just the beginning. So I had to live with him for about 2 years while the big court case happened, and during that time was some times that I would want to forget. Like, he would leave me alone in the house at the age of 8 while he went to work, and I would be scared, so I'd turn on the light, and when he'd come home he would like drag me out of bed and yell at me about how I'm wasting electricity, and there's other things. I used to throw my lunch away because I really hated the taste. He made like these really dry sandwiches that I just couldn't stand the taste of. So I would throw them into his friend's backyard. I don't know why I threw them into the backyard. I really should have just thrown them in the bin, but I didn't. I threw them in the yard, and one day the friend just picked up all the sandwiches, brought them over and said, "Hey, look at what she did," and he flew into a rage. He threw me over to the corner of a table, and my eyebrows right here hit the table and it started bleeding, and he had to rush me to the hospital, and he forced me to tell the nurses that I had injured myself while playing and I fell. So that's what I did. That's just the kind of person he is, that he would get so angry about something and just do stuff without even thinking. And later on I remember that one time he took me to a party and I was having so much fun I didn't want to come home, and he wanted me to come home, and for some reason he got really angry and he started dragging me out, and I would be screaming help, 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 and he would just drag me across and my toes would hit the bin and it would have a giant bruise. On the way home he would threaten me with things like, "You're behaving so poorly, you were so bad that I'm going to send you to a mental hospital and have you locked up forever." And that would terrify me, and I really did believe that he would do that. The 3 things that he would always threaten me with was, firstly, that you will be sent to the police and you'll be locked up. Secondly, you'll be sent to the mental hospital and you'll be locked up. And thirdly, you'll be deported. You will be sent on a plane back to China all on your own. So I was really afraid of all 3 of them, and because of threats I would basically agree with everything he said. So in my childhood he also sexually abused me. He would basically touch me here all the time, and he would make me give him erections and just really disgusting things like that. And as a child, I remember thinking that, oh, this is normal, but I felt like disgusted and wrong. But at the same time, I still felt like, okay, maybe that's just normal, that's what everyone does. So I really didn't even tell anyone or know what to do about it except just to comply with his orders. So that went on for a long time. I was only allowed to see my mum every Friday, and I'd have to go home on the Saturday morning. And I remember just being so upset because I didn't want to leave. I really did not like living with him. Because he was paid child support money, he decided that he wanted me to stay there because of money. And I remember when he would take me to his friend's place, they had a son who was about the same age as me, and he would be saying things like, oh, look at how good your son is compared to her, look at how horrible she is. Basically just saying that kind of stuff anytime we go out, anytime we had a guest over. That did no good for my self-esteem at all. I basically grew up hating myself. I felt ashamed, I felt dirty, I felt horrible. I just felt like I was a really disgusting person. I did not like any kind of social situations because I just felt like, why would people want to look at me? Like, why would people want to even see my face? That over the years have caused so many problems for me that I couldn't even count. Like, it's easy for me to get upset or jealous because I have this insecurity inside me, and sometimes I would get compared to him, like someone would say, oh, I look like him, or I'm acting like him, and that would just make me feel like I'm the worst person in the world. Because of that, I really didn't know what to do with my life. I remember trying out different jobs, studying different things, and I just quit after a while because I was either too stressed and I wasn't able to handle difficult situations, or that I just didn't like it, or if it involved me getting in front of people to talk, I would just feel really embarrassed and ashamed, and like in any situation, even if I was answering phone calls in front of someone, I would just feel so stupid, and I wasn't able to continue any jobs like that. So I really struggled for years. I just hid behind my door and I did nothing about it, and I just felt ugly, I felt terrible, and I really just wanted to look different. I wanted to look like anyone else in the world. I just didn't like who I am. My parents now, you know, they are great, and they really do a lot for me, and that I am so grateful for that. And luckily, I had some of the most wonderful, supportive people in my life that has changed my life forever. During my high school and primary school years, I had some of the best teachers in the world. They truly cared about me, and they really went out of their way to just compliment me and just show me that I have something inside. I have something, I have talent, or I'm capable of doing things. And my teachers put hope in me, and they taught me more than just subjects at school. They taught me more than just math and English. They taught me so much more about life. Just they inspired me so much by caring, just by caring and saying kind things to me. They have truly helped me discover that I have talents and I can do things. I am forever grateful to my teachers who were just kind to me, who tried to help me, who talked to me, who spent time not just to teach us the subjects at school, but to actually care about us as people, to care about our family background, and to want to help to make ourselves feel better. I couldn't thank them enough. For many years, I would just bury all of those memories, and I would just pretend they never happened. I wouldn't tell anyone because I felt embarrassed and ashamed. I mean, I didn't want people to look at me weirdly, look at me differently, or even pity me. I just thought that, okay, this will be a secret forever. And I started doing research after my son was born. He is just so innocent. He would look in the mirror and he would just smile at himself. It really made me realize that when we were born, we were just innocent. We didn't have these opinions about ourselves that were so negative, and I want to help people feel better about themselves. I want you to be just like my son, like looking in the mirror and looking at yourself and smiling at yourself rather than thinking, oh, like this person in the mirror looks horrible. And that's what made me do a lot of research about traumatic childhood and how it could affect people. And I realized that all these years I had pretended that this didn't happen. It didn't help me. I would say like, oh, I'm fine, I'm living a happy life and I'm not affected at all, and in reality I was. I just didn't realize it. I just thought that if I admitted to it, I would be weak and I would just be really, people will look down on me or people look at me differently, so I would just pretend that it didn't happen. I would think it's a past life. I realize that these things have affected me, and I will do my best to handle my stresses. I've taken medicine. I've said in another video that I've started taking antidepressants, and they have really helped me with my stress. The worst thing is that I just can't handle any little stress. I would, like, if my son is sleeping different times, I would just freak out and think, oh no, he's never gonna sleep again. Oh, so those stresses really affected me and affected my happiness for a long time, and I finally decided to get help. Just last year, just over a year ago, I decided to get some help, and I found that taking medicine has really made a big difference in my life. It has not taken away all these feelings, of course, but it has made me just deal with it much better. When things like that happen to you as a child, it's very likely that your mind will become a state of mind where you're just constantly thinking negative things about yourself. It becomes second nature. You basically just feel ashamed, like you feel like you're wrong. And I'm telling you that you may have these thoughts, but it doesn't have to rule your life. Firstly, what you need to realize is that what happened to you is wrong. Imagine your own child. Imagine if that happened to them. How would you feel? If my son Lucas had someone treat him that way, I would be absolutely furious. I don't know what I would do, but I certainly wouldn't be his fault. It certainly wouldn't be anything he's done, because he is such an innocent little boy. He deserves the utmost protection. He does not deserve people being violent towards him or sexually abusing him. Just think of that the next time you feel like you're bad, is think about it like if it was your child, if it was someone that was so important to you, how would you feel? Would you feel different, or would you feel the same? And just realize that what has happened to you, if you've gone through something similar, that what has happened to you is not your fault. I really want you to try to find your happiness, and to do that, there are a few things that really works for me, and that is firstly, for me, making videos. When I watch my own videos now, sometimes I'll think, oh wow, I actually look pretty decent, or pretty good even. Like, I would have never imagined myself thinking that, maybe even last year. I just think that sometimes you have to really go for a change and do something about your life that makes you happy. For example, like, I always held back on my dream with YouTube because I was too scared, and doing it now, it feels like second nature. I can just get in front of the camera and talk away. I still make a lot of mistakes, but I don't feel really nervous talking. Now, when I watch my own videos, I would think like, wow, I'm saying some cool things, and this is pretty funny, or this is pretty cool. Like, I actually feel like I have some self-esteem. I love creative things. You might love something else, and that's great. Go pursue what you love. So guys, I just wanted to share my story with you because I know that a lot of people were probably going through something similar. I hope you take good care of yourself, and I will see you later. Bye.